my pleasure to welcome you to the first edition of Inheritors, a very unique platform in the entrepreneurship and family business domain that's been created by Bloomberg Quint and brought to you by Shobha Developers. The Inheritors essentially takes a look at some of the most successful family businesses in India today and explores the vision of the second and third generation of these in these businesses. With the Inheritors, what we want to do is explore some of the challenges that come with inheriting this legacy. It's really not easy. And to present this very unique and insightful session, we have with us somebody who really needs no introduction amongst corporate India. She's been integral to the banking sector as a part of top management in key movements in the life cycle of many companies. She's been one of the first women leaders of corporate India. She's a founder of the Family and Business, which is a platform for family business, and also the author of The Inheritors, after which this event is named. The Inheritors, as you would know, are stories of entrepreneurship and success. So ladies and gentlemen, without much ado, I'd like to hand over to our moderator, Sonu Basi. Please welcome. Thank you.
Before we set the ball rolling, it's my privilege to introduce the panelists, the people with whom we're going to have a conversation. So let me start with the gentleman on the right, Muthaiah Murugappan, also known as Muthu. He's the fifth generation of the Murugappa group. Your group is, I think, 120 years old. Then we have Lavanya Nalli. She belongs to a business family that is 90 years old, almost 100. She's fifth generation. She's the only woman in 100 years of the business. Then we come to Mr. Umesh Khetan. Believe it or not, he's the youngest here. He belongs to the third generation of a very fine and well-known legal family. He's also a senior advocate of the Supreme Court of India. So welcome Lavanya, welcome Umesh ji, and welcome Muthu again. And my first question is to you, Muthu. You've grown up with your family. You've said, and I quote that, in my case, I always have grown as having discussions around the business with my father. We also spent holidays going to the offices and factories, so I always knew I was going to be part of the business. Having worked outside, coming back into the business, working with your cousins, working with your uncles, was that a challenge?
Working outside sort of enabled me to work in a good professional setting, and our group also professionalized management towards the late 90s and early 2000s. So I think coming back into a professional and pretty structured setting was not so bad. And
Lavanya, for you to have worked many years outside, to come back and work with your father, your grandfather, how much of a challenge was it?
I'd been outside the family business for about 7 years. I worked there for 4 years initially when I started, and then I was out of it for 7 years while I did my MBA and worked outside and came back to it. The only difference that I could say is when I joined in 2005, and I must have been, when I was 21 back then, I think the understanding was for a woman to join the business, it's viewed as an indulgence. If you're the son, it's an expectation. If you're the woman, it's more of let's see what she can do, and we'll see where it leads to. So I think they weren't, and luckily there weren't any cousins, or it wasn't that complex a structure either. It was just my father and myself, and I've got a younger brother who's 6 years younger than I am.
So you've grown up, you've seen the business flourish, you've gone out, you've got new ideas, then you come back and you want to implement them. Was it difficult to get your own identity in your own business, especially with the older generations present?
So the short answer is not really. Initially, I think when I joined, there is what I call the ignorance of youth. When I was 21, I was a computer engineer graduate, and I knew nothing about saris beyond what my mum had in her closet, and even then I would ask her to tie it for me. And I think most women at that age go through a similar sort of experience. And so because I knew I didn't have a business background or a business learning, or a business education, nor did I know anything about textiles or saris, it was literally that ignorance which led me to say, I don't know anything about it, let me figure it out.
So, Umesh ji, when the Gen Next like Lavanya and Muthu do come back into a business, the patriarch is still there. The youngsters, of course, have a lot of expectations. They're bubbling with energy. Can you give us an insight into what goes on in the minds of the patriarch?
The key issue is understanding the patriarch and the inheritor and creating that understanding. And patriarch, of course, has spent his time and he's looking at the inheritor as a successor. But unless that translates into communication understanding, the gap exists. One finds that where the communication is established, as I can see it's established here in both the cases, so then there's not much of a problem. The role for somebody like me becomes very important of trying to re-establish that communication.
So either Muthu or Lavanya, if any of you have any experience that you've had where you've had to tell yourself to step back, to focus on the communication rather than get swept away by emotions, have you had any instance like that?
One of my professors at HPS actually pointed it out to me. Most likely, they are wearing at any point in time one of three hats. They are your family members, so they're either talking to you in the role of a father, let's say. They are management, so they are talking to you in the role of someone who's running this organization and has certain performance metrics or or ambitions. They may also be speaking in the role of an owner. Now these three roles have very distinct objectives, and sometimes they're not always in line, and there may be a conflict.
It's all about the communication within the family.
And of
that
course,
keeps
and
it
understanding.
together.
You see, even the patriarch has to understand that, look, my inheritor has an ambition. And his ambition may be different to what he has in mind. So he has to understand that. And if he can't, then somebody has to make him understand that.
So I want to ask Muthu this, because Lavanya, you have a fairly straight line of family. Muthu has a banyan tree of family with many branches and many significant people. How do you negotiate through the older generation's mindset of, we've grown this business, we know how to do it?
We have a retirement age of 65, so it's it's kind of helpful in this.
Sorry.
It's in this case. So once you're 65, you move on into more
Heritage.
family leadership or the CSR work and so on and so forth, and someone else comes into the mantle of donning the business leadership. But in terms of putting your point across or actually sharing the current trends, I think as long as there's good communication and conversation amongst the family elders and the next gen, and there's some structured ways in which we do it, and then there's some more informal, casual. If I would just go over and have a cup of coffee and talk about it, or play some tennis or golf together. I mean, oftentimes members of the family, including myself, have struggled to get where we wanted to. But at least it's a conversation, I guess. You can't give up.
And Lavanya, how difficult was it for you to get the traditional Nalli into your Gen Next venture, which you did after your graduation, before you went for your management studies? Because that must have been a completely different mindset change for your father and your grandfather. How were you able to convince them?
So yes, it was very different from what I think the family members had been used to, especially my father and my grandfather. So you're right, we have a fairly straight line. In fact, we have all three generations who are actively in the business, so no one's coasted into the sunset yet. Historically, the way that our family had done it was a very entrepreneurial learning and environment, which was to say, look, as a father, my role has been to build this business and to educate you, and then now it's on you to find an opportunity, and then the business is almost like a fund. a reasonable degree will sort of fund your venture, and then you're on your own.
So Umeshji, in your experience of dealing with these diverse set of family businesses, why is it that the women are not encouraged to be part of the core family business, and why does Lavanya have to be the first woman in 100 years in her family business to come into the family business?
She's the right place at the right
Right
time. No, it's not relevant anymore. It used to be, but there's a very interesting aspect to this which I would like to share with everybody. And for family businesses, it's a very flexible kind of a document, but which I have seen and I have also made for several families. And it's a family settlement. And so much so that if you have a very large family and various branches, then this is a very, very private settlement document between the members of the family, and it is generally not made public.
So what you're saying is that as part of the settlement, the women are given wealth.
Not only that, but they're also given the right to participate in the business.
That's now.
Yes.
So you're saying that it is changing.
Yes.
You know, there's been a good sense of understanding of what goes on inside a family. Rather than me ask all the questions, I want to understand if there are any questions that the audience has in whatever we've discussed.
Hi, my name is Tara. I'm a lawyer and a mediator now. And as all of you have rightly indicated, communication is a bedrock of keeping these relationships together. Now, when there is a problem with communication, how typically do family businesses approach that situation?
There's got to be someone who takes the initiative. You've got to have a champion or a white knight. If there's a period of lull in terms of communication, someone needs to, and we've had that as well, and I think every family has had that, and people have stepped up to bring people together informally, and start talking about the business, talking about family, and ultimately if there's an issue that we're grappling with, or if there's some changes which need to be made, ultimately you will get there. But I think it starts with bringing people together and in an informal setting, and then perhaps moving to a more formal setting.
But I would also like to add that when the outsider intervenes, then that outsider must be very faithful and honest to the line of communication. Don't interpret yourself.
Before another question, just to carry this forward a bit, when the communication breaks down, it's largely because of business reasons which affects the personal. Do family retreats, do going out and spending time playing volleyball on the beach, would that help?
You won't take a retreat or a holiday if communication is in a breakdown. You won't go anywhere together, trust me.
So this question, in fact, is for Muthu and Nali. In fact, we know that maximum people, they are from business generations. Either they are doing 1 crore business, 10 crore, 100 crore. There is a challenge always when you go for higher studies, do your MBA, and you have always options to come back and directly join your company or run your entity and take it to next level. But sometimes, you prefer working somewhere and, get that experience. I can see Lavanya also worked for Mantra after coming from US, if I'm not wrong. So that experience, how do you count? That kind of experiences which you get from the same industry before you venture in your own and try to take it to the next level?
The answer to that is yes, and but you have to understand, I think there's been an evolution as well, right? When I first joined the family business, it was 2005, and India was a very different landscape then. And again, like I said, because I was a computer engineer, the options that I had were to join, businesses like Amazon and Microsoft and so on. But for some reason, because I did a internship with the family business on the back end, on the supply chain and the RFID and the tech enablement aspect of it, I got hooked onto that business, and then I said, no, I think I would like to work in the family business instead. rather than going outside and trying something. And the response that I was met with was really one of, like I said, indulgence. Right? It was, okay, she wants to do it, let her do it, and then she'll do it till she decides to get married.
There's somebody else here.
Hi, my name is Siddharth. I represent the third generation of a professional accounting and business consulting firm. My question is more about building a rapport among peers, and my question is to Muthu. All of you are young, all of you are aspirational, all of you may have desires to create wealth for yourselves. How do you handle, within your own generation, building rapport amongst your peers? And is it one from a personal perspective? The second is there an institutional mechanism that you have within your organization?
I think you raised a very good point, and objectively, going back to our roles in the business and how each one has a different skill sets and perhaps has different aspirations. What we've talked about amongst the fifth generation is perhaps we, and this I think will reflect in the governance structure going forward, is perhaps all of us have to be true to those skill sets. There's going to be a bunch of us who are going to be operators, who are perhaps running day-to-day businesses and then aspire to lead businesses in the future. And I personally have chosen to take that track. There are members of my generation who have had experiences in asset management, banking, and strategy, and they might perhaps have a more strategic role, sort of providing that to the group at large. So in a sense, what we've sort of talked about amongst ourselves over the last couple of years is that let's be true to these these sort of distinctions amongst ourselves. But it is a very good point that you raised.
Okay, so I'll say thank you to all of you. So Muthu and Umeshji and Lavanya, thank you for such an interesting conversation. And before we end, I'd like to call Mr. Rajneesh Dikshit, the VP Marketing for Soba, who've helped us to put this all together, to come and say a few words, please.
Thank you, Sonu. And thank you, Muthu, Umeshji, and Lavanya. It was a great privilege for Shoba to get associated with an event like this, because in every aspect, Shoba also is a part of the Inheritors Club. Our chairman, Mr. Ravi Menon, is the second generation entrepreneur who has taken over the reins from our chairman emeritus, Mr. PNC Menon.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, before we end the evening, may I formally put on record our thank you to Anil and your entire team for putting this together and putting together the Inheritors Evening.
RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, growing legacies.